A boss mom doesn't allow society to tell her that her goals no longer matter. She handles her business both inside and outside of the home. Welcome to the Boss Mom Movement Podcast with me, your host, Ashley White, where you'll hear me speak with millennial moms who have not allowed the title mom to stop them from achieving their goals. During this podcast series, we'll discuss how we balance it all and other mom-related topics. It's a space for all my bossy mamas, whether you're an entrepreneur, mama in corporate, or both. Being a boss mom isn't easy, but it's our lifestyle. So with that being said, all right, boss moms, let the movement begin. Hey mamas, it's Ashley here from the Boss Mom Movement, here to tell you about a skincare product line that is made for self-care. I know we are always doing stuff, we're always busy, and sometimes it causes us to be a little stressed out. So why not have a product that is going to not only improve your skin, but also your mindset? So it is a holistic product line that is just going to have anything from clay masks to face wash and just relaxing herbs and essential oils sourced from around the world, including Africa. So it's Black mom owned, and it's called Mahogany Hippie. That's Hippie. You can find them at www.shopmahoganyhippie.com. Let them know Ashley from the Boss Mom sent you, and let's get our self-care on, because if we can't be our best self, we cannot be here for our family and for others around us. So again, Mahogany Hippie, and let's get into this episode. Hey Boss Moms, welcome back for another Boss Mom Movement podcast episode. You are here for episode 5, and this is Collaboration Over Competition with Amanda Keys. So I'm super excited to have her here on the show today to discuss this topic. She is a mom, Maven, and Mastermind. So I'm going to take or give her the mic rather to introduce herself. So welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you, Ashley. I am really excited to be here, and especially to talk about this topic. Like you mentioned, my name is Amanda Keys. I like to go by Mom, Maven, and Mastermind. Professionally, I'm actually a diversity and inclusion consultant. So I'm here in Detroit, Michigan, and we service clients all across the country, honestly. But I think that what I've learned most from my career is really being my authentic self, right? Focusing on inclusion. And once I really tapped into being authentic, being true to who I am, I really wanted to focus on, being a mom and how I can help build relationships and empower other women and moms who may be going through, similar things in life that I am. So throughout the pandemic, I kind of struggled. I had a child. I had my second child February 13th, 2020. So literally almost a month to the day before like the stay-at-home order and everything happened. So it was just a really weird and crazy time. And, once things started opening back up a little bit and things got, I don't even know what normal is anymore.
Right.
But when we were able, to be more around like our friends, right? It was okay. It wasn't weird to go around people in person. I felt and I learned that a lot of people struggle with a lot of the same things that I struggle with. So kind of similar to you, I actually started a mom community as well. And what I call is the Hot Mom Tribe, Hot being an acronym, really being honest, open, and transparent about the things that we struggle with in motherhood. Sometimes talking about things is not like it's a stigma, right? To say you struggle. We always want to show the things that we are successful in, but we don't really show those struggles. So it was really creating a space for people to be honest about those things and really lean on one another for that support and that encouragement.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And even when we were just discussing like topics to just talk about, like collaborating, overcome competing, it really just stood out to me, especially being women and both of us having our professions, both being in D&I and then having our brands and businesses on the side. Like women, I feel like, honestly, minorities, I feel like it's hard to come together in general, but then also women. And like you said, sharing stories sometimes is a little difficult because you don't want to highlight those negatives, I guess you could say.
Right.
But in reality, it's like once you start talking about it and you start realizing how relatable, certain situations are to one another, it's just like dang, why didn't I do this before? Why didn't I share this before? Granted, things might be a little personal depending on the situation. But I have definitely found, especially starting the Boss Mom, like it's so many things that we just all go through. And it's just like, why am I going through this by myself when I could go through it with someone else or learn from someone else that maybe has already gone through it? So
definitely. I think that's my tagline, right? Life's better with a tribe. And I think that, I don't know if it's just the space that I'm in life, but I just felt like it was such a need because I didn't have that type of community, right? You go through phases, and I think, we have friends where it's like, oh yeah, we could go turn up, right? Or things along those lines. But when you get into the nitty gritty of life and like those struggles and challenges, making sure you have the right circle and the right tribe is so critical for you to be able to move through things successfully and just be well overall, right? You need somebody that's going to support you through everything. And that's really what I'm trying to create with this community of the Hot Moms.
That's good. And how's it been going for you so far?
It's actually been going really, really well. So I knew I wanted to do something, right? I didn't know what it was, but I just had this on my spirit. Like, I really want to create this community because I just felt like I had conversations with multiple people and we were talking about the same thing. So I didn't really know what it was going to be. I was like, I'm just going to start. And I'm a huge procrastinator. So I don't know if you're like me, like I'll have all of these great ideas, but that imposter syndrome starts kicking in, right? So imposter syndrome kicks in. I'm like, who am I to think I'm, to start this? Or, man, that's not going to be successful. Like, I talk myself out of it before I even start. So I was like, yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to do it, right? And I gave myself a deadline. I'm like, I'm just going to ask 2 of my friends, invite a mom, let's just go out and let's talk, right? So that's how it really started. I just started with, let's just have events. Let's go out. Let's just have a space to be honest, open, and transparent. And my friend invited this one girl. I had never met her, right? And that was the whole purpose because I wanted to push myself to network with other people. But she just doesn't know. And I say this to her every time I see her now, like, you poured so much into me. Like, I didn't even have a vision of what I thought this was going to be. But she was like, oh, I could see this being this and this. And she was just sending me different resources and different communities. And then I was like, oh, I kind of like this. So honestly, it was from my friend inviting, her friend, and she really planted that seed to what it has grown to be now. I've been doing it a little over, I would say my first dinner was in maybe 10 or so months ago, but officially being a community for about 6 months. So a little shorter, not as long as you've been doing the Boss Mom, but I think I think I've been doing a lot of great things, and just the interest from people has been tremendous because, obviously, it is a need for this type of community. It's very needed.
I 100% agree. And like you said, I talk myself out of things all the time. Like, instead of just going for it, that's the fear, right, that we have. It's like, okay, it's not going to be successful. Like, you look at other people's, things that they have going on, and you just like, man, I wonder if it's going to be like that, even though you really shouldn't even be comparing your success to other people's because everybody's success looks different. But it's kind of like one of those things that's hard not to do, especially when you're starting something new. But I would definitely say just keep going, girl, because I'm let me tell you, this year I was just like, oh my gosh, every other month I'm like, okay, here's a new idea, maybe I could tweak it like this, and just always trying to find ways to evolve. And one thing I've noticed, just with millennial women especially, is it's so many of us want to go into entrepreneurship or have our own, and then we get discouraged because maybe it's something something like what we may be wanting to do, maybe that already exists or something like that. And I think that's where that, collaboration over competition comes in, right? It's like, okay, instead of us competing, why don't we just collaborate, and kind of feed off of each other? Because one thing I've noticed is just your brand is your brand. No one can take it away from you because it's yours. So it doesn't matter if someone has a similar vision, work together. We're way stronger, when we do that.
I wholeheartedly agree. I actually had posted a reel with some audio that was basically saying that exact same thing. I want to say last week, because I mean, I think we do that. We talk ourselves out of it. We feel like, oh, the market is oversaturated. And for me, you know, I always have to get a little spiritual. But just like you said, I mean, if God gave me this vision, like he's not going to put this on me if he's not going to give me the tools to be successful. So whatever I have is for me, right? So it doesn't matter if somebody else is already doing it. What's for me is for me, and that's going to flourish, and it's never going to take away from what you have going on. So, you know, why wouldn't I want to help other people? But that's not the mentality, like you said, that a lot of, you know, minorities have. We have that crabs in a barrel mentality where we have to pull other people down to make us look better. Or we don't want to see someone that's more successful than us. I don't know where we got that from, but like collaboration over competition has really been my mantra for this whole year. Everything that I feel like I've been doing, either personally or even with the Hot Mom Tribe, is like, how can we collaborate, work together, help one another? And I'll tell you a quick story. So I went to this networking event at the end of last year. And I was trying to like push myself right out there, you know, be a little uncomfortable, but like network, meet more people. So I went to this event, and I literally went and like they were talking like, hey, you know, you got to be on a certain level for you to network with me, right? Like, I mean, literally, this is the message. And I was like, I don't think that's what this is supposed to be about, right? You know, But people have these empowerment events, right, where we're supposed to be empowering, encouraging, telling our story. But it's really like, hey, you know, you admire me, you paid to come hear me speak, so I'm going to say something, but I'm me, you know, I'm successful, and I got to this part, you know, place in my life. However, right, they don't give you the real tea. They just want you to come because they're popular, and you feel like, oh, they're going to tell me something that's going to encourage me in my business. But in reality, it's like, work hard, never give up. You know, it's like, girl, you ain't going to tell me nothing, right?
I want to know the struggles, honey. What did you go through so you can help me when I get to those same barriers?
And I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I have not been to one, right? So I was like, you know what? When I start having these events, because that was something that I envisioned, I was like, I want mine to be really authentic, right? I want people to come, the energy to be different, like leave. I want you to come here because you find value, and you're going to leave with something valuable. So the first event I actually did, it was called Collaboration Over Competition. And I wanted to bring moms, you know, momtrepreneurs, and, you know, people who have brands, whether it's your personal brand, a business brand. But I wanted to bring people together. And I mean, like, my vision was to do like speed networking. I want people to meet one another. And I mean, my event was very successful. And I even see people now, right? Like people who came to my event collaborating, working together, doing things. I'm like, oh, see, that was the whole vision that I had.
Exactly.
But I mean, I invited people who, oh, you are, you know, a hairdresser. You have your own hairline. You have your own natural hair care products. It's okay because we can work together and do things. But it doesn't have to be, you know, you're my competition. I don't want to be identified, aligned with you, because there's enough money out here for everybody. Your target market, it might not be the same as mine. Like, why? You know, like we said, whatever is for you, it's for you. So it doesn't matter, you know, that you're in the same industry. We can actually work together, and we're stronger and better together, honestly, instead of trying to put each other, you know, against one another.
Exactly. And it's statistically shown that, you know, collaborating is definitely, especially for women, more impactful than working alone. And I've also just found that, you know, working with other people in general, as long as it's a good working team, it definitely, you know, brings more impact, in my opinion, than doing things on your own. So I'm always looking forward to collaborating with other people. Like even with my podcast, I could never, I'm not going to say I could never have done it by myself, but I definitely feel that my messages are powerful, or even are essentially more powerful having other people come and bring their expertise and or opinion. And I've come across, you know, other moms with similar visions for their podcast and just their brand in general, because Boss Mom, you know, does events as well. Even your brand and the Boss Mom, like when I was reading over, you know, your Hot Mama, I'm like, this is like not exactly the same, but so similar, you know?
Mhm.
And I'm just like, we could definitely team up and find, you know, an event to have, or, you know, well, whether it be a one-off or, you know, something that continuously happens. And I would be so, you know, excited to do it, because it's like you said, you'll have your community, I'll have my community, and then we'll be bridging even more people together, you know,
Right.
to have future collaborations of their own. So, you know, I'm all for it. And it's funny that you even bring that story up, because a girlfriend and I were just having that conversation, because she's been doing different panels and also just attending events of her own. And some of her experiences aligned with yours, and just saying like, you don't really give us the nitty gritty, right, of your story. It's like, people want to hear authenticity. Like, we want to know who you really are, what you've, you know, maybe gone through, your story that you're sharing, because like we said before, I could be going through those same things, and I'm looking for some advice or some tips and tricks on how to get past certain things in my life. And, you know, just saying, yeah, I'm at the top already, you could get here too if you just work hard. It doesn't really,
it gives off mean girl vibes, honestly. I mean, I promise, I just feel like, no, and like people that I collaborate with, people that I work with, it's like, no mean girls. Like, I don't know, I can't do it, because that's not who I am as a person, right? I'm really all about encouraging and empowering women and other moms. So like, I don't even want to be associated with someone who may have that type of you know, connotation and perception in the communities. Like, I feel like if somebody calls me and say, hey, you know, can you help me do X, Y, and Z? I'm going to probably help them, because that's just who I am as a person. And, you know, like I said, really, I think just being in DE&I and really helping, you know, encourage organizations to have their team members bring their authentic selves to work. I just started focused on being me, like super authentic, being my real self, and like, what do I want to do? And it's like, I want to be authentic and give myself to everybody. I don't want it to be, hey, you know, you aren't on a certain level, so you can't work with me. It's, I mean, it's just not about that to me. Like, I think the community needs realness, and you know, but you got to have the right people around you and the right people in your community, and that's the people that you can collaborate with. Because, like you were mentioning before, you know, a lot of what I thrive off of, even with my friends and people that are in the community, is like co-working, because I have a million ideas all the time, like you just said. And I'm like, let me talk through this with you. Does this make sense? Right? Or what do you think? Like, how does this sound? Do you think people would be interested? You know, those are the types of things like that we do in the community, but that's ways that you can collaborate. It's not always like, hey, we can do a challenge or an event. Sometimes it's just being that sounding board and really helping me flesh out some of my thoughts and my ideas.
Absolutely.
And you know, and you don't have to fear, like, is this person going to steal my idea? You know, are they going to try to take over my stuff? You know, you really want to have those people that are supportive, that are like-minded, that can really support and encourage, you know, whatever your vision is for your brand. And like I said, with my friend that she brought to the event, right? Like, I didn't even have this vision. So it was her listening and really like, okay, I want to support you. I want to help you. Like, this is what I think this could be. So I think another element is make sure you have the right people, because you can have a community, you can talk to people, and then you're like, oh, you done stole my whole idea.
Right. Like literally from A to Z.
Yes. So you got to be really cognizant of that too, for sure.
Hey moms, it's Ashley here from the Boss Mom Movement, here to invite you to join me and the Boss Mom Mastermind group. This is a small group that I've created to help us as like-minded women and moms just accomplish our goals. We'll meet on a monthly basis, but you also have the opportunity to have a community at your fingertips, as you'll be invited to a private sectioned off group where we'll just be able to discuss on a daily basis different goals that we have for the month and just keep each other motivated and accountable. In addition to that, you will receive a special discount on merchandise and upcoming events. So like I said, join the Boss Mom Mastermind group. The link is in my bio, and let's just build this community and check off these goals and keep each other accountable. So I hope to see you ladies there. No, I agree with that. And like, even just starting my mastermind group, I actually had done that with just some friends before, like a few years ago. We started actually like during the midst of the pandemic. And you know, it was very small. It was only 4 of us, you know, people that I trusted, because like you said, we get scared to share our ideas or our goals out of the fear of, you know, someone just walking away with everything that we just came up with and doing it. And it's just like, man, even though the more I think about it, I'm like, you know what, even if that does happen, like, still do you, right? And flesh out your vision, because like we said, you know, your vision is like, they can't steal your personnel,
Exactly.
like, you know,
I'm a secret sauce, so you can't, it's not gonna taste the same.
Exactly. And so, but it's just like, we don't even like to come together and have those conversations, when in actuality, it's like, let's have those conversations, because you may not be an expert in this industry per se that I'm in and that I'm trying to flesh this idea through, but you may have done similar things in your respective industry to get to where you have gotten. And so it's like, your help could assist me as I'm trying to grow in my own area. And so it was like really cool that we even had that group, because like the 4 of us had 4 different things going on, different industries and stuff, but the help that we were giving each other, or the resources, or, you know, partnering them with someone that we knew that is in that industry, was just so helpful. And it's just like, if people could just come together like this all the time, like, things would be so much better. Like, I just hate how people just feel like, I can't share with you because you're going to beat me to the punch, or you're going to surpass me. And it's just like, why? Like you said, it's so much money out here. It's so many people in the world to support you, you know?
That's what I was going to say. Like, first, people don't really understand. And this is just people, you know, entrepreneurs, business people in general, right? Like, who is your audience? Because your audience might not even be my audience. So why are you even trying to compete with me? But even if it is, you know, in the same market, I mean, it's still enough people, right? Everybody is going to have who they want to work with, who they want to get a service from. But when we collaborate together, like you said, like, it's building your audience, because you have access to my audience as well. And networking was always something that I struggled with, not even just here, but professionally, right? And I had this I had to talk to my boss, because I'm like, you know what? I'll go to these events. I think I'm super personable. I get to meet people, but then afterwards, it's like, I don't have anything to offer them. Right. So I don't know what I'm following up for. And I was like, being transparent with her. Like, I don't know. What am I following up with them to say? And this was a few years ago. And she's like, no, you know, if you may not have something today, right? Maybe you know somebody, maybe it's a resource, maybe it's a connection that you can build down the line, but you don't have to look at it like, oh, I don't have anything to offer to you today, so we don't have anything to talk about. And I think when I thought about it from, you know, my personal brand, right? Like, building these relationships with people, I may not have to think about, oh, what do I have to offer someone? But maybe it is being a sounding board, or connecting someone, or a resource, or something, right? We all have something of value. And when we're networking, when we're collaborating, it does have to be mutually beneficial, but don't think that you have to come with the same thing. It could be, hey, you know what? I have time, right? I can work on we could do a project together. I have more time than you, but like, it's like, I'm not always going to someone to get something. And I think that's always the issue when we think about networking. It's like, oh, I want to work with you. I want to pick your brain. It's like, well, you're always trying to get something from someone. But when you truly collaborate, right, it's mutual effort, mutual benefit. So we also have to start thinking about how we can be beneficial to the people we want to network and collaborate with as well. And I think, absolutely, you know, people may come to the table with nothing, right? And then that may be why, you know, I went to these meet and greet events. They're like, hey, don't even call me, because you don't have anything to bring to the table. But it doesn't always have to be something super substantial, but you do want it to be more mutually beneficial to both parties.
And that's a good point. Like you said, maybe they feel used, right? Like, because you don't have anything to bring. But then it's like, we should start giving ourselves more credit, right? Like, when we think about it, because it's like, you're coming, and I was like you too, right? I was afraid to network, and I would say professionally, I would start there, because that was where I, you know, figured out, okay, the importance of networking, just trying to get into my industry and build my career. I would go to networking events, scared to talk, right? Like, what am I going to say? Am I going to say something crazy where they're looking like, okay, I want to walk away now? Like just all in my head, being negative, and I should be
Mhm.
positive. But it's just like you said, try to, think about something, even if it's minute, that you can bring to the table. Like you said, okay, yeah, I'm not in this industry, but I do know such and such that is, and I think they'd be a great fit to help you, like you've now connected people, even though
Mhm.
you weren't directly helping, I guess, in a sense, like maybe with the vision, but you've connected them to somebody that possibly could. Or
Right.
just saying, hey, I can offer words of encouragement, because that goes a long way as well, especially when sometimes you get stumped in, trying to empower your own ideas and yourself. And it's just like, sometimes that affirmation you sent me could help me, but I think just being more confident too, when we're walking into these rooms where we're supposed to be networking, and it's just like, I deserve to sit at the same table as you, right? Like, I'm
Yes.
maybe not there, with my brand or my business or in my profession like you are, but I have the confidence in myself to get there,
Mhm.
and
Definitely.
I want to
Yeah.
sit at the table too.
No, and I agree with that, because I think that was a lot of the issue, right? Like they were kind of put in
Mhm.
this vision. I'm sorry, that thing where it's like, hey, I am, I'm at this certain level that you're not at, right? So you're not on my level. Don't come talk to me until you get to this level. And I don't think that
Mhm.
that's a fair thing that, for people when you are trying to get into, an industry, or you are trying to build your brand, right? Like I said, you have to
Mhm.
bring something to the table, but also I say have confidence in what you're doing. Because for me, it's like, hey, I might not be there now, but I'm going to be there at some point. So maybe
Exactly.
it's, you might not feel like I'm bringing something now, but when we think about networking, it's not all about, the right now, right? Because you don't
Right.
know who's watching people as well. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people, they may not like the stuff like actually liking it on social media. But if I see someone, they're like, I see what you're doing. They see it, right? They see what
Right.
you're doing. I don't know if that happens to you, but I feel like I run into people all the time. And I'm like, oh yeah, tell me about what you're doing. And never liked or comment on nothing, but it's like, oh, but you know enough to ask me about it. So
Right.
it's like that is a confidence booster for me as well. Because I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
like people, they notice, they see what's going on. So I
Right.
think wholeheartedly what you said about just having that confidence and being confident in what it is that you're doing, your brand, your vision, what you bring to the table, and going after it. I think being prepared for the opportunity to collaborate with other people is really important too. You got to actually be
Absolutely.
prepared, be ready, ask for it. And you never, the worst somebody can say is no. That's the way I look at stuff now, instead of,
Mhm.
having that imposter syndrome of, oh, they'll never want to do anything with me. I'm like the queen now, just, hey, can we do X, Y, and Z? Have you
Right.
thought about this? Or, I'm working on this. Would you be interested in partnering or collaborating on it? I mean,
Absolutely. And
I'm a go-getter, so I'll go after what I want to have.
and that's good. And just seeing like the transition too, because where you started, just how you were feeling about networking to where you are now, and having that confidence and just being able to walk in and show up to the space is definitely a growing point. And I'm glad you shared that, because like other people like myself have been there as well. And I would say I'm
Mm-hmm.
still working on that. Like even now, just trying to get out there more with the boss mom, and wanting to connect more with people and go to events, and so I can speak on panels or other podcasts. So it's just get out of your own way and
Yeah.
show up to these events. And of course, it's going to take a few times. Like I've been to events with friends, and I would be like, oh, I'm scared to give them a business card. And they're like, girl, why? And you're so good at talking to people. And then I just clam up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But in addition to collaborating, whether it's teaming up with somebody, I think it also goes with supporting each
Yes.
other. Like,
No, that's so, yeah, because it is like, is it one-sided, right? Like if you always are going to
mhm,
people, like how can you promote other people? It's super simple stuff, right? Like sharing somebody's stuff on social media. That's so simple. It
right.
takes you 2 seconds, right? Like sharing it, authentically commenting, posting, like going to other people's events, giving opportunities to other people, instead of being super selfish. I feel like I do that a lot. Somebody may say, hey, I'm wanting to do this. I'm like, oh, I know, a really good photographer, or, I know somebody whose podcast you could be on, or, somebody who has a dope space. I mean, I think when you're networking, right, that's a part of networking. You might not be the person for it, but then who can you connect other people with too? So
absolutely. Yeah. I want to see so much more in that area, because it's like, okay, just because somebody might be in your market or in your industry rather, like, it doesn't mean you can't show up and support. Like, if they're having something that you all did not necessarily collaborate on, it's just there. It's like, support. Like, it's nothing wrong with that. And I would just love to see more people doing that, and more so in our millennial bracket. Like, it is truly okay to go to somebody else's event. Like, I just see so much back and forth nowadays, like, especially on Instagram. And it's just like, why do you have to do that? Like, it's just no need. And I just really want more honesty, from people, and seeing that, because it just doesn't make sense. And it's like, when you're trying to market to your audience, but it's not tasteful. It just doesn't look good. And it doesn't make me, anyway, as a consumer or potential buyer or supporter, like, it doesn't make me want to support when I see things like that. And it's just like, we don't have to step on each other to get to the top. Like,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, being in this space, right? Wanting to empower and encourage women and moms. If there are other events going on, like, why can't I encourage, women by supporting another woman, right? Exactly. So, I mean, like, for me, it doesn't even make sense for my brand for me to not participate or support other women who are doing the same thing in this space.
Right.
And it just like, it doesn't even seem like it would be authentic. It's like, well, what's your motives, right? Why? What's your why? Right. And that's a lot of what I do in my practice with business. The why, you have to start with the why in general. Of course, understanding the problems maybe that your community may have, but your why individually and personally. So if I'm authentically wanting to support and encourage women, then I'm going to do that regardless of having a business or a brand or not. So you got to be authentic, or it will show, right? If you can't encourage and support women outside of what you do for your personal gain or for your brand or business, then I might start looking at you side eyes like, well, I've never seen you attend another event, right? You only go to your own stuff. So this is the only people you want to touch. So I think about impact, and, even if me supporting one other person and I am able to impact them positively, then that's a win for me, right? So I'm not just thinking about, myself when I think about, my why. It's about other people, the community. It wasn't just for my own personal benefit, even though I know I needed to have a community of women. It was to create a community for other people, right? Who else can I impact with this vision that God gave me? Exactly. And when we think about, collaborating, right? Okay, now you can gain more reach. You'll have a bigger impact. It's, competing. I mean, I'm a firm believer that what's for me is for me. So it's never going to benefit me from competing with somebody else. I'm not even thinking about people from, who are with me in that manner. Right. I'm thinking about how we can work together so we can all grow together. And you're right. I think we have to change our mindset. It is a mindset shift. Because we grew up, people in our society, they didn't have much, so they had to like hold it, right? But you get more with your hand out than you do with your hand closed. So you have to really be there to support and collaborate with one another so that we can grow together. It's better together. But we'll get there eventually. And hopefully, more women and moms can see, people working together who you might think, oh, this is my competition because we have the same vision, right? Or our platforms may be similar, but coming together, we can encourage and support even more women. More people will hear about what you have going on. More people will hear about what I have going on. And there, it can just grow and multiply from there.
Absolutely. So has there been any huge success story? I know you shared about the dinner, your first event, but has there been any huge collaboration for an official event that you've had with Hot Mama?
I have. It's so funny because it always just divinely happens. So I don't know, by the time this episode airs, I'm actually collaborating with someone for an event. I'm actually starting what I want to call like the Connect Her series. So I really want to intentionally collaborate with other brands and have events where we can kind of, empower women. So just today, I reached out to someone for a service. And she's like, oh my gosh, I've been meaning to connect with you because let's plan an event. I mean, I'm telling you so seriously, like I'm in her DM and she's like, no, I've been meaning to like connect with you. Let's plan an event in May or June. So, I mean, it just divinely happens because I think that's the energy that I put out. So people probably think about me when they're thinking about those things. But I have some things that I like kind of have in the works. I mean, that was my first event in January. And then so my goal is to do something like every quarter, but I really want to do more like community events where people can learn more about the community. And then I do have, the membership where it's more specific to individuals. And we do like the masterminds, co-working calls, things like that.
Gotcha. See, dream work makes the team work. Okay. Like I definitely wholeheartedly believe in that. So I love to see it. I can't wait to see your business and your brand grow. I'm definitely sending positive spirits and vibes throughout your first year. Thank you. And I just hope everything goes well for you. And I am also interested in collaborating. So y'all just keep an eye out for the Boss Mom and Hot Mom as we work together. But I really hope that, other people just feel these positive spirits as they're, working in their brand or working on their brands or in their industries, because, collaboration is not just for entrepreneurship. It's definitely if you're working 9 to 5, like, working on different projects with your team and collaborating and doing speaking engagements on behalf of your company together. I know I've done, presentations with coworkers at conferences, and they have gone tremendously well. And it's just like bouncing off of each other, because where you may be a little weaker and I may be a little stronger, then we can, both come up together. So that's definitely been my experience, especially when it comes to speaking. Like, I've not always been the best with public speaking, but I've teamed up, like I said, and I've done presentations to where I have done them alone, but also have, collaborated with other people on my team, to show up and show out for whatever it is that we're doing. So I want to give you an opportunity to tell the audience how they can find you and your brand.
Sure. So, of course, being a hot mom, my child isn't going to let me do anything alone. So, yeah, you can find me. So my personal page is Manda Fresh. So just Manda, Manda Fresh. And then for the brand, it's Hot Mom Tribe. And that's Hot, HOT, Mom Tribe. So definitely can connect. And like I said, I'm more than happy and willing to collaborate. I know I told you I have some roots in Georgia, so I would love to connect and do some events there or here in Michigan as well.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you for coming on, Amanda. And ladies, please definitely follow her pages and support her brand. And let's, again, continue to build these communities for moms and women to just come through and support each other. So as I always leave you ladies with these words, stay bossy and stay motivated. And I will talk to you ladies next time. Hey ladies, if you enjoyed today's episode, do me a favor and leave a 5-star rating and review. You can find the Boss Mom Movement streaming on Apple and Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube. Want to keep up with the movement? Visit my website at thebossmommovement.com and subscribe. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you next time.